so Sailor Moon came after New York, actually.
Oh, okay.
So when I moved from Toronto to New York, I was able to work in an H-1 work visa, which means that I could only earn income as an actor. And I didn't earn enough income to subsidize my New York theater habit. So I would go back to Toronto frequently on a very inexpensive airline to Buffalo and then a 3-hour bus ride back to Toronto to do voice work, which subsidized my New York studies and theater habit. And so at that time, I did Care Bears, Baby Hugs, and Shrieky, and a few other animation series. But after New York, I moved to LA, partly because I thought I might make more money in LA and I wanted to have kids and I needed to make some money to have kids. And I moved to LA and I was lucky enough to work in television. And I continued my voice work. But then I met a guy, as happens. He's no longer my guy, but he is the father of my children. So he has an important place in our lives. But I moved back to Toronto and I started writing and directing as well as acting. And that's when Sailor Moon came into my life, at that stage of my life. So I went back to Toronto to basically get married and have a family, and also to expand my career to writing and directing, as well as acting.
Oh, I love that. But I would love to hear like how you got the role of Sailor Moon, because I feel like that's just such an incredible story, and it's so fun to hear. So if you don't mind sharing.
No, I don't mind sharing. So I had two amazing young friends from Calgary where I grew up, my longest time friends, kids, two boys, and they came to visit Terri in Toronto. And so they were hockey players. And I said, well, why don't you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame? And Russell and Philip are their names. And so I was heading down on the subway to the Hockey Hall of Fame with Russell and Philip, and I got a call from my agent. My agent said, Terri, there's this series, this anime series. I said, anime, not animation, no, anime series, which I'd never done before, and it's called Sailor Moon, and they want you to come and audition. And I said, okay, that's great, just let me know when the audition is. I'm just heading to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And my agent, Elaine Hammett, said, the audition is now. And I went, oh no, I'm heading to the Hockey Hall of Fame. She said, you gotta go now. And that's, for those of you in the acting industry, that's kind of how it happens sometimes, right? So Russell and Philip were very accommodating, and they came with me to the audition and sat in the waiting room, and I went in for the audition, and Roland Parliament was the director, and I called well the producer, Saul was, I believe, the engineer at the time, and they kind of put me through my paces, and we did some of the things I've been talking with some of you about today, a real roller coaster of different aspects of Sailor Moon and different emotions that go along with different circumstances. So we went all through all that, and I left, and Russell and Philip and I continued on to the Hockey Hall of Fame. And when I got to the Hockey Hall of Fame, I got a call from my agent, Elaine, and she said, Terri, they want you to do the role of Sailor Moon. And I said, oh, that sounds great. It sounds like a really interesting project. I said, okay, just let me know when we're going to start. And I said, now? They want to start now? I said, no, we're at the Hockey Hall of Fame. So we kind of did a quick couple of rounds of the Hockey Hall of Fame, and then Russell and Philip went to the care of my former husband, and I went to work that night in the studio, and we recorded one, maybe even two episodes that night. They were really under a time crunch. And thus began my journey with Sailor Moon, which has led me here to you today.